He also remembers that Nelson Mandela's passion was born out of the sort of person he was.
He thought very little about himself, about his own safety, about his own welfare. He was greatly interested in the overall interest of people and the tomorrow of Africa, the tomorrow of his country, the tomorrow of the black race. But again, with all this, he never harbored any prejudice or ill will against anybody. In spite of the persecution by the whites, he never really hated the whites. All he was struggling was, let there be equality. You have no right to come from Europe to come and dominate my country and drive away the black owners of the country and take over the country. No. You have settled here, you don't know, your generations have not known, and the new generation have not known how you came, so you have no place to go. You are allowed to be here. We want you to be here, but we want you to accept that the owners of the land should also be here and be free in their own country.
Now retired to his country home in Okpo, a hilly town in Nnewi South local government area of Anambra State, Amaechi serves his community as a chief. Let's get more now on the situation in Gaza from the VOA's correspondent in Jerusalem. Scott Bob joins me now live via Skype. Scott, thanks for joining us on The World Today. So there's been a lot of shelling going on for 14 days now, Scott. What else do we know about what's going on in the Gaza Strip?
Well, it seems that the Israeli forces discovered that there were more tunnels into Israel than they thought. And that's why they enlarged the ground operation and have been trying to not only hit the tunnels, but also hit these rocket launching sites. And the Israelis say that many of these are either near or underneath or inside mosques, schools, or close to civilian residential areas. So it makes it very, very difficult for them. And this is why they say that there's this large number of civilian casualties.
Yeah, I was actually going to go to that. The number of civilian casualties, Israel says it does feel the grief of the Palestinians, but it's quite unavoidable that the numbers will go up. But in all of this, are fingers pointed against either side? I mean, who's wrong, who's right? Do you see that situation in Gaza?
Yes, we now have more than 600 Palestinians dead, many of them civilians, quite a few of them children, and there are militants that have been killed, but if you contrast it, of the 29 Israelis killed in the 15 days so far, 27 have been soldiers, all killed during the ground operation, and 2 were civilians. So whereas the Israelis have this great Iron Dome missile defense and a strong defense on the ground, the Palestinians are relatively unprotected, at least the civilians. So it does, from many people's point of view, look like a David and Goliath type of battle. The Israelis point out and like to emphasize that the Palestinians are using what they call human shields, and that this is not a fair way to wage war. So it is a very difficult moral issue, and there are moral issues on both sides, and these come to the fore and are heatedly debated in times like this.
Quite understandable, Scott, about the human shields situation, because Israel had sent out a warning to residents of northern and western Gaza to evacuate because of the shelling that was going to take place and the ground offensive that would come in full force. But a hospital in Gaza was hit by an Israeli airstrike yesterday. How is Palestine, or how is Hamas reacting to that?
Well, of course, they say that these are massacres, genocide, crimes against humanity, and in the view of many people, they are. The Israelis say that, for example, near these hospitals are these rocket launching facilities, or else headquarters. They've said that the senior Hamas leadership has taken shelter in a tunnel underneath the Shifa hospital, which has also been hit by Israeli missiles or fire. So it's not a question of who you believe, but it's a question of a much larger, more sophisticated, well-equipped force against a less well-equipped force that is trying to fight a war. It's called an asymmetrical warfare, and it's quite clear as we see. In my view, there's no solution to this except that people try to find a ceasefire and a way to get along.
Appreciate your reportage on the issue, Scott. Thanks a lot for joining us all the way from Jerusalem. Scott Bob is the VOA correspondent there in Jerusalem, monitoring what's going on in the Gaza Strip. And that's how we end the world today. Thanks for watching. I am Amarachi Ubani. Stay tuned in just a few minutes. It's Sports News.